Okay, so this is going to be our first actual drawing assignment. Like usual, we're going to start with a horizon line. I'm going to bring it closer to the middle. But for this, we're going to do 1 point perspective. 1 point perspective. I'm going to put 1 point right here. For me, it's in the middle. It doesn't have to be right in the middle. Don't put it here or here. It could be anywhere in this range. So I'm putting mine pretty close to the middle. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this a street that we're looking down. So from my vanishing point, I'm going to make some lines that come down. Like that. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put buildings on either side of this vanishing point. If I can make this road narrow, if I make it narrow, then that means I'm far away from these buildings. The buildings will be smaller. If I make it really wide, then that means that I'm closer, and the buildings are going to be much larger. So when we're talking about 1 point perspective, it's important to know that 1 point perspective is not real. It's not a real thing. It doesn't really exist. So, and I'll explain that as I draw this first building. I'm going to put a building in here. Let's make the front of it. I'm going to start by making the front of the building. That's the bottom. Again, I'm going to make a line that goes straight up. I have this carpenter square, which makes it really easy to get these lines straight up and down. I can line the top up here with the edge of the paper. And if it's lined up there, I know that my lines are straight up and down. So if this is something that you struggle with, I suggest getting a carpenter square. All right, and then this is going to come up, well, I'll go ahead and draw this line in. From the top of it to the vanishing point, and then another line straight up and down. So I have that, and then another line straight up and down. All right, so that's my front of my building. Now when I'm making the side of the building, it's going to come this way. And a lot of times this is taught as that what you should see here should be a perfect rectangle or a perfect square. But in reality, there is another vanishing point. There's this vanishing point here. There's another vanishing point that is that direction, that goes way off the paper this way. And there's another vanishing point that goes way off the paper that way. That's way over there. But it's so far that way that this is almost going to be square. So if you draw it as a square, that's fine. I don't care that much. But in reality, these lines that come off this way, it's good to be mindful of, or to know that they should get closer to the horizon. And the farther a building is down, the more those lines. So they're going to be flat if it's here. Any line that comes down here is going to start to angle up a little bit. Any line that comes up here will start to angle down a little bit. So I am going to put a little bit of an angle in this. Not enough for you to probably even notice. And this will angle up. Again, it's a very slight amount. You might not even notice it in the video. And then this is going to be straight up and down. All right, that's my first building that's on my horizon. If I have buildings that are in front of that, I might need to erase this corner when I get later on in this drawing. So don't draw really hard with your pencil. Don't make your lines really dark. Keep things light. This next one, I'm going to start with the rectangular part. Let's make it this way. This is so close to the horizon that I'm going to make this come straight over. So this is going to be a long, skinny building. I mean, it's the front of it. It won't have much face of the building. So when I'm making the face of this building coming up, I cannot make it go past the face of this other building. So it can come to here, but then I need to stop, because if I go any farther, then this building is going to be taking the same space as the building next to it. So I'll draw this straight up. And then the top of the building going towards the vanishing point. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this corner so we can get a better idea of how these buildings overlap, because it can be kind of confusing. There we go. Okay, now if we have a building, let's put another building here. I'm going to do the face of it first. Let's say if I bring this line, have it lined up with this other building, then the faces of those buildings, the fronts of those buildings will be the same distance from the street. I'm going to have this one set back a little bit, so I'm going to bring this line in. And do it from right here. Now I'm going to make this building so that it doesn't go above the horizon. So you can see the difference between a building above or below the horizon. So this building's only going to be that tall. I'm going to go ahead and finish out the face of it. Alright, so that's the face of my next building. As you can see, the ceiling, the top of these are above the horizon, so I can't see the top of the building there for this one or this one. This one is below the horizon, so I would see the top of this building. I'm going to go ahead and finish out the side that's facing me, which is right here. This line is going to go very, very, very slightly towards the horizon as it comes this way. If you don't understand why, don't worry about it and just make it square. And we'll talk more and more about that. This one is going to be more towards the horizon than this line. This is going to be coming up more towards the horizon. Just slightly. Alright, and then I need to draw the roof, the top of this building. There we go. I have my third building. I'll go ahead and erase out this back line. I'm also going to get rid of the horizon here, because you can't see the horizon through the buildings. There I have 3 buildings. I don't want you to draw the same buildings that I draw, because that doesn't tell me that you know how this works. I want you to draw a variety of buildings in a variety of sizes. As things go back, the buildings should get smaller. This is actually a massive building in comparison to this one and this one, because of how much, if it's taller and farther back, then it's a much taller building. So this is a big building. So things should generally get smaller as they go back. I just wanted to show you a building below the horizon here. I can make another building that's back here that comes up higher if I want to have a little bit more variety in my buildings. I could have, my buildings don't have to all be in a line. I can have buildings coming up in other spaces back there, almost like there's another street, and I could even put another street here if I want to. So there's a whole lot that I can do if I want with this. So I want you to get as creative as you can, make all kinds of buildings. You'll have buildings on this side, you'll have buildings on this side. Some buildings could be long and short. Let's do a longer, short building. Something like this. That later we'll talk about how we can split a building into multiple. So that's what I want you to do, is just make a variety of buildings, not a specific number, enough that it looks filled in and realistic.